Now, finally, I want to talk about security and crime because this one shocked me. So this video is kind of like a gist with me. So I will invite you to project this video on your TV where you can just listen and enjoy the banter and all the gist I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to be talking about my career, moving here, the kids and school, security, crime, and something shocking that happened to me health-wise since moving here. So if you're interested in hearing all my gist and banter about my life in Airdrie for the past 2 years, make sure you stick around and watch this video till the end. 6 months after I moved to Airdrie, I made a video where I bragged about not missing Toronto. Well, now 2 years in, I've been asked again about my feelings, and now I have to take my words back. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lola, Nigerian Canadian, now living in Airdrie, Alberta from Toronto, Ontario. Let's roll back. I've talked about this a lot of the time, but I feel like I have to recap because of the new people that come on my page. First of all, let's talk about the new people. Now, if you're clicking on my video for the first time, never seen my face before, and you're just visiting, can we convert your visitor status to a permanent resident or citizenship? If you're already PR, you visit me frequently and you've not subscribed or turned on the notification bell, please, let's just make a conversion. Stay with me, hang tight with me longer. I was tiptoeing around YouTube for a while, but I'm back now, so please make sure you subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on that notification bell so that you know whenever I post a new video. So for the people who are not aware, we moved here because we wanted to upgrade our family. We bought a new home. Before we moved here, we never heard of Airdrie. Our research is how I stumbled on Airdrie, shared it with my husband, and before we knew it, we bought our home and we've been here. Now let's talk about Airdrie. Airdrie is a great family-oriented city, very small city, 10-20 minutes away from Calgary, which is a major urban city. Airdrie is about 13 to 15 minutes to the northwestern part of Calgary, and so you can travel between Airdrie to Calgary in about 15 to 20 minutes. Close enough. It's almost like how you would see Toronto and Scarborough, or Toronto and North York, or say Toronto and Mississauga. So you can go to like most places in Calgary within the hours. So in case you're wondering, if you want to move to Airdrie and maybe you have a job in Calgary, how would that commute look like? It's very doable. There are many people who live even further out from Airdrie and still make the commute to Calgary. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my 2 years update. Since I made that video 6 months in, so this is like a video I made over a year and a half ago. I haven't really come out to say where my feelings are at now. 2 years update. If you have not seen my last video where I talked about like the highlights of here, you want to see where our home is right now, maybe you saw the house tour video when it was empty. In my last video, I showed you a bit more updates that we've done and some changes that we've made, and now I'm going to talk about some of the changes that has happened and why I feel like I have a little bit of reservation about moving to this part. And it hasn't been all bad, I'll have to tell you that right off the bat. But I'll definitely tell you that you need to have more considerations if you're going to be moving to this part 2024 and beyond, because a lot has changed in the last 2 years since we moved. Before we moved 2 years ago, the difference between the lifestyle of an Albertan and an Ontarian was significantly different. That was a huge gap. Now, there are major comparisons. You can say life is cheaper in Alberta in some sense. In terms of housing, it is. I feel like that's the main thing I can compare it to Toronto with. It's just mostly the housing market. First thing I want to say is, if you're thinking of making the move, do not make it with your feelings. Make the move with your head. think about every aspect of that move. I feel like we moved here at the nick of time, because it was after we moved here things started to get difficult. And here's why I have a little bit of regret. I feel like we could have moved here sooner. To be honest, there was nothing happening in Ontario. There was nothing happening in Toronto where we lived. The pandemic just made everything stretch out. And at the time when people were moving in the pandemic, that would have been the perfect timing for us. But it wasn't in our plans at the time. Things did not naturally occur to bring it to our consciousness that moving outside of Toronto was an option. Even though I feel like Alberta has not given me all the opportunities that I need, I definitely can say that it's been beneficial for the rest of my family members. My husband's job pays much better. My kids are happier. But for me, I've experienced some hardship in my own professional life. It kind of seems like the tech space has taken a backseat. Being a program manager, coordinator, project manager, scrum master, all of those roles have kind of like become difficult roles to get. And it's one contract after another. The instability for me is a problem. It makes me feel very unstable. So for me, yes, career-wise, I've not been very happy building my career. I'm not just dissatisfied with my career or my professional life. I'm also dissatisfied with my progression as a content creator. Nothing is happening in this space, and it makes me feel very, very unmotivated. As someone who's creative, who vibes to good energy, even though I like my peace and quiet, I like, good vibes. I like to be at nice events. I like to meet people, to socialize. I feel like Calgary has not warmed up or opened its doors to those creator opportunities. I'm not sure what the brands around here are doing. Now, when I was in Toronto, I had better opportunities than here. As at the time in Toronto, I did not even have as much presence as I do now. And even with being a photographer here, you have people who want to pay you $100 for photography. And I'm just like, how, where, how does that even play out? I feel like you are so skilled, you're so resourceful, but you know what? I only have $100 to give you for your hard work and dedication. But you know what? Moving here has really taught me how to say no. It's teaching me how to spot people's toxic behavior. It's teaching me to stay in my lane and mind my business. In Toronto, nobody really cares about you. I had a neighbor who was in front of me who had a kid my son's age. We never crossed each other's front, right? And here is different. You interact with your neighbors more, and it really helps you to learn to draw boundaries. So I would say if you're trying to move here and you don't have a job yet, this is why I say make the decision with your head and not just your heart. If God is telling you something or speaking to your heart, that's a different situation, right? But I would say, be logical. Think about plan A, B, and C. If you're buying a house, do you want to develop the basement real quick? Like maybe you can turn that into a passive income for your family, or is there something that you can do, something else that you can do to convert for income? The good thing about being here is because there are many gaps, there are also many opportunities to fill. Do your research and how you can fill in those gaps with your business, with your skills, with a partnership, or however you think that can, those gaps can be filled. If you're not sure, uncertainties can creep in and make you feel like you're making the wrong decision. In that case, I would say, do you want to visit? For example, if you're buying maybe a new build or considering moving here, I would say maybe, do a visit, stay a few days, go around the city, look for the opportunities that are there. If you already know people who live in this part, reconnect with them, make those contacts, visit here, are able to figure out, okay, I've seen the place. For me, I never saw the place, but good thing for me was my husband was not a stranger to Calgary. So that kind of like helped to ease off the uncertainty part of it for me. If you're a family, one person can take the trip. See Alberta through your own lens. And how do you feel like you can fit in? How do you feel like the kids can fit in? Find the job opportunities if you don't have any job already. Again, I have to reiterate this. I cannot reiterate this enough. find a job before you move here. If you're a couple, I would say one person should at least have something. If you work in a province where they have a branch here, maybe you need to start asking what a transfer would look like. Although I miss Toronto, I'm not saying I miss Toronto because I want to move back there. That's not a realistic move for me because I'm not the only person in this equation right now. It's my whole family, right? Now, let me tell you something shocking that happened to me since moving here. It's still happening. It's very surprising because of how my life has been affected and disrupted by this event. So it has to do with the weather. Of course, it has to do with Alberta weather, because tell me why this never happened to me in Toronto, where I lived for over 6 years. Tell me why I never experienced this. And then boom, I moved to Alberta and I'm like, what is going on with my eyes? Why are my eyes driving me crazy? Why are they suddenly so itchy? And then in January of this year, I wake up, my eyes were so red. I had a lot of mucus. You know, I'm not going to show you that video. I'll save you the trouble from the trauma you're going to feel when you see the video. And then I'm like, what's going on? Now I text my neighbor because she had told me she got pink eye recently. And I'm like, is this the pink eye? Mind you, I never had any eye problems throughout my life. Only reason I use glasses is because I'm short-sighted. And I mostly use my glasses when I drive. But now I'm experiencing all these eye problems. I start to wonder and I'm thinking back, I never had any eye problems in my life. Like, I could feel dizzy because, you know, maybe my iron is low, but like say something directly related to my eyes. I started to wonder, maybe it was just the pink eye. I went to see the doctor. I got eye drops. It's called Tobradex, and I used it for a bit. It really helped. It helped with the inflammation and the irritation, and the mucus cleared up. So I felt better until some weeks after came back. Although it wasn't as severe as it was the first time, but it came back and I started to wonder, okay, I was told to wash my sheets, pillowcases, and I did just that. So is it reoccurring because I was doing something wrong? I started to change my habits, but soon this whole thing became a part of me. And now I'm constantly on eye drops. It's called fake tears. I use this Halo Dual. Now this tiny 10 ml bottle is $58 and it's now a part of my routine. And I'm just like, wow. So let me tell you what I was diagnosed with. I was diagnosed with dry eyes, which is a problem that many Albertans have because of the dry weather. So I'm just going to tell you straight up, from the moment you start to feel discomfort in your eyes, please go and get help. Because if I tell you how much this thing disrupted me, my goodness, I was like, wow. I never really thanked God for my eyes. You never realize the blessing that you have when you don't wake up with your eyes just clogged with mucus, or your eyes just hurt, or they just itch like you want to scratch them and pluck them out. That was me. The headaches, the light sensitivity. I was told not to do screen time as much anymore without my glasses. There'll be times when I'll definitely be wearing glasses when I'm doing some sit-down videos, especially if I'm going to be reading something on my phone. So I got on omega-3. My older friend who's a doctor recommended it. Not even the eye doctor recommended it. It was actually an older friend of mine who is a doctor who actually experienced the same issue when she moved to Canada over 20 years ago, and she was like, yeah, I had the same, but it should clear out, you know, if your lifestyle is different, you know, you're using your drops, you're eating good, like lots of fish, lots of stuff with omega fatty acids and stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. It's not easy changing my habits to those habits that would really help improve my eyes, because it's still like kind of strange to me figuring out this whole eye business. But yeah, my routine, my lifestyle definitely has to change around there. I want to talk about something surprising about the police in Airdrie. What I found about the police in Airdrie is that they are like, you know how the Bible talks about Jesus coming like a thief in the night? Yes. These RCMP, they creep up on you. It's how like they're very strategic. Like go and hide like it's like they camouflage like a chameleon. They kind of like fit into a spot that has the same color as their vehicle. And they're just waiting in the corner, whether on the exit of a roundabout or like in the corner after a turn or like in the middle of somewhere that leads to nowhere. And when they catch you, I've been caught. One time I was slapped with a $324 fine. The police was nice, but he had to do his job according to him, and yeah, the rest is for me to do. So I hope that I'm able to walk out of this with a smaller fine or a forgiveness at least. But here's the thing, do not get into police problems. Driving in Calgary is wild for me. There are so many roundabouts and I just cannot stand it. Like driving in Calgary downtown can be very frustrating and confusing at the same time. Just be mindful that people here drive like they don't care. You can signal all you want and they can bully you and not give you space to make a lane change. People can make lane changes without signaling. People can pretty much do whatever they want. Just be mindful. That's all I'm going to say. People drive very badly here, especially in the winter. Unless it's essential, I'm not going anywhere. And I just keep my trips local. I'm not going anywhere outside of Airdrie in the winter. That's my rule. People have lived here for like years and years of their lives. But every time it's winter, we still all get shocked, especially on the first day of snow. Every time it snows, it's almost like a bombshell that just gets dropped on us. I learned my lesson last year after I got towed home when I made an attempt to go to Calgary on the first day of snow. October 24th. I think that was the day. Spent almost $200 being towed home after 5 hours of waiting because there were hundreds of vehicles that slid off the road. Some got into ditches and the tow companies were very busy that day. Good business for them, but it wasn't good for me because I had to wait 5 hours before I got a towing company to get the car. My husband had to come stay with me, and then it cost us about $186. I will never forget. Yeah, a day in my life indeed. Can we talk about the schools for a minute? So moving here, I can definitely tell you for sure that it's a better situation for raising children. Airdrie is a family-oriented city. Tons of young families here. You're going to love it because young families, young professionals, kids are everywhere. It's easier for kids to make friends. Kids are very social. It's a perfect environment to raise children. But for the schools, I would think that things like bullying and all that stuff will not be a thing here. Compared to Toronto, of course, it's more situations, of course. More people, more schools, you have more of those events, bullying and stuff happening. But I did not think that I'll be hearing that many as I have heard in Airdrie. And it makes me a bit worried. Because one of the reasons why we moved here was because we wanted to get away from raising our kids in those kinds of environment where like there are bullying in the public schools. But again, a public school system will remain the public school system. There is only that much regulation or that much influence parents can have. What I find is parents are looking for alternative care. I have a friend who has her kids enrolled in online school and they also go to a special school or private school. Is it private? I don't think, from what she explained to me, I don't really think it's private, but it's like a societal school. It's not free though. You have to pay some money out of pocket and it's not cheap either. Yeah, there's some explanation. I've not done my research because I'm just like, I'm not worrying about that right now. For now, my son is going to grade 1. He's still okay. His school is fine. I've not heard any of those kinds of complaints from his school, but there are other public schools around Airdrie I've heard. You know, it's more with the older kids anyways. I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed that I don't have to worry about that in Kofi's school now. But I'm definitely thinking about the future if we're still going to be here long term, to find like an alternative system for him where he can feel safe, and you know, we don't have to worry about events like bullying, suspensions, and all that stuff happening. If you're moving from Toronto, which, you know, there is more exposure there, you're moving from there to here and you're feeling like, oh, there's less exposure here, and then because of that you feel lax, you may be putting yourself in a situation that I don't think you should take a backseat because you're in a more conservative, you know, environment. So yeah, still be on your toes. Make sure that you're supervising everything. Make sure you know who your kids are hanging out with. Of course, there are less evils here, but it doesn't mean that, you know, you still shouldn't protect your child. Now, finally, I want to talk about security and crime because this one shocked me. So recently, this was just last month, I'm so glad I wasn't home for this because I would have been terrified knowing that I could have been somewhere outside. I don't know. But there was a shooting in my area. And it was even my friend that told me. She called me and said, hey, are you guys okay? I hear there was a shooting in your area. And I went online looking for the news and I saw the police was there. And apparently there has been some sneaky things happening that we were not aware of. So there was a shooting, somebody shot into a house from a car, and that was very shocking for me, because one of the reasons why I was happy to live in Airdrie was because of the low crime rate. But here's the thing, as the population increases and you know, more people start to move into neighborhoods and neighborhoods starts developing, there's a higher chance of that happening. Anything can happen anywhere, even in the safest places. And it made me feel like, wow, I definitely have a different perception of how my life should be here. We still have to be careful in all aspects, right? So yes, think about all those things. Get your kids into activities. Get a job if you're thinking to move here. Do your homework on who you should buy your home with. Think about what life here would look like long term, short term. Think about the neighborhoods or communities that you'd like to move into. Overall, Calgary, Airdrie, much better life than I had in Toronto. I would highly recommend the move. But again, let that decision be made with your head and not just your heart. I know this video is long, but I needed to come share all these deets with you because of all the questions I keep getting from you. And now that I'm back, one of my problems is oversharing. I tend to overshare, but it's good for those of you who are looking for information. One of the feedback I get from my channel is, oh, I love how much information you share. And that's why I'm here, to share information. So if that's your cup of tea, you're in the right place. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave today. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Share it with whoever you think needs to hear all of this information that I've shared in this video today. And what else? Leave me a comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to chat with you if you have any questions. And finally, I invite you to follow me on Instagram at Lola Black Official, where you can reach out to me and we can book a time for you to have a chat with me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you found it helpful. I will see you in my next video. Until then, bye bye.